Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar, which is called The Path to a 2x Quota, How AI Changes the Math for Sales Team. Really happy you could all be with us here today. I'm really looking forward to this webinar. I'm excited to hear what our speaker, Sahil, has to share with us. I know this is something he's been thinking about for a long time, so I'm excited to hear what his point of view is. We'll get started with the actual webinar here shortly, but to cover a few housekeeping items, yes, these are the things that you expect, but I also know you have these questions. So one, yes, we are recording the webinar today, and I will be sure to share the recording with you in a couple of days so you can rewatch it, share it with your team, whatever you would like to do with that. Also, I like to write blog posts on the webinar after the event, and the blog post usually is a summary of what this webinar was like, as well as answers to the Q&A or the questions that were asked during the webinar. We will try to get to answering all of these questions, excuse me, during the webinar, but in case your question does not get answered, know that you will find the answer in the blog post that we will post within a few days after this webinar. Speaking of Q&A, I'd like to direct your attention down to the bottom of your screen. You should see a Q&A tab there. If you ask your question there, then all of the presenters will see your question, but you're also welcome to use the chat. Whichever you prefer is fine, but do know that if you put it in that Q&A tab, that all of the speakers are able to see it. Let's see. The last thing that I would like to say before I welcome our presenter today is please take advantage of this webinar as a networking opportunity. Everyone here has similar professional backgrounds and interests and challenges. And one thing that I have come to really enjoy and appreciate about webinars or events in general, whether they're virtual or in person, is the opportunity to grow my personal network of like-minded professionals. Even though this is not an event where we will be chatting with each other, this is an event where we can connect. So please put your LinkedIn URL in the chat if you would like to connect with others here today. And click on everyone's link and connect and know that you're connecting with other people who have similar professional challenges and interests as you. I'll be putting mine in later on after I hand off to our speaker. All right, with that, let's get started. I would like to introduce and welcome our speaker today. Sahil Aggarwal is the CEO and co-founder of Rattle and Vaughn, and he's going to be sharing some thought leadership that he has on how AI is changing the math for sales teams. I've been looking forward to hearing his point of view and thoughts on this for a couple of weeks, and I really hope that you enjoy today's conversation. Welcome, Sahil. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. Hey, thanks, Sarah, for organizing this, and hey, everyone. My name is Sahil. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO, and today we'll be talking about a topic that is something I've been thinking for a few years at this stage. But before we get started, Sarah, would you mind staying on? It's far more comfortable talking to someone while doing this rather than just getting staring at my own face or a blank screen.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt you. Bonnie, who's our producer, please don't take me off screen. Please leave me here. Okay, thanks. All right, Sahil, back to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Um, so let me share my screen. The format of today's webinar is slightly different. Uh, Usually, the format for a webinar is either we are interviewing someone for and doing a fireside chat, or it's a product webinar. But today, we're talking about the next phase of AI in sales. What happens, what changes. And I want to talk about this invisible ceiling that we have that for some reason hasn't really moved in the last few decades, and that's sales quotas. And that's the primary topic for today. But before we get into sales quotas, um, my background and the context that I have, and why I'm talking about this is because I started Rattle with my co-founders 5 years ago. Some of you might know Rattle, some of you might not. But Rattle is a workflow automation platform that is very Salesforce and Slack centric. We have more than 200 paid customers and more than 10,000 paid salespeople on the platform. And I have observed what they do, how they do it, and how they interact with their leads, sales data over the last 5 years. And while Rattle has an impact on win rate, sales velocity, speed to lead, deal size, one thing that we have never been able to impact is sales quota. And not just Rattle. If you look at any B2B SaaS software for sales tech and you go to their website, they all talk about the same metrics, but nobody talks about sales quota. Because no tool is able to impact sales quotas, and very few processes changes as well are able to impact sales quotas. So we started Vaughn, which is a new product within Rattle, which is AI native from the ground up. And the reason why we had to start a new product is, I think, as you all might have heard from your engineering and product teams, it's very hard to bolt on AI to existing infrastructure that was built pre-AI. So you have to build things from the ground up, and that's what Vaughn is rebuilt from the ground up, or built from the ground up with AI in mind. And that's why Vaughn is a separate product. But we won't talk much about one today. We'll talk about the problem that we are trying to solve and the problem that hasn't been even touched in the last few decades. So let's talk about sales quotas. Sales quotas have not grown in the last 15 years since we started tracking it. Um, Year over year, it has compounded by just 2%. It was 650K at the beginning of 2010, and it is 800K right now on average. Enterprise sellers have a quota of 1.2 million. SMB has a quota of between 600 to 700K. And then all said and done, it averages out to 800K per seller. And I mean, this data has been pulled from not just Gartner, IDC, Bridge Group, but also by talking to people like yourself. But you know what? Also at the same time, I hope that you can see your own self in this data. Like you can see what was the quota a decade ago and what is the quota today. In the same time period, sales tech spend has increased by 5x. It went from 20 billion to 100 billion. Where is that money going? And you would have seen this in your own data, by the way, as well. You would have seen that right now to create about to buy sales tooling for your sellers or for your CSMs, the average cost is now over $10,000 per seller per year. And that used to be, I remember when it was 2000 or 2500. I started my career in sales and marketing consulting, assigning quota or territories to large pharma teams. And I remember that it was not this crazy. So somehow you bought all this tooling, and I know that you can see there is Rattle there, there is Gong there, there is sales forecasting, sales engagement, data pipeline enrichment, and somehow none of them have even tried to move quotas. And that's, I think, is the crux of the conversation today, which is why haven't quotas moved? So we started thinking, is it time? Is that the issue why sales is stuck of where it was a decade ago? So because of Rattle, we have access to people's calendars and call recorders. And what we did was we pulled data from 50 accounts, and those 50 accounts had 1,200 sellers in them. Some of these companies were small, where they only have, let's say, a dozen sellers, but other had more than 300 sellers per account. And this is just sellers, not CSMs, not SCs, not SDRs, purely quota carrying reps. And we were looking at that, hey, if quotas haven't increased, is it because we have all heard of the age-old statistic that sellers spend 70% of the time in their non-admin work? and God knows how many tools have been bought to try to reduce that time. But then, are they spending the rest of the time with in external meetings? Um, and I'll tell you, I was expecting the data to be 4 hours is being spent by sellers on external meetings every day. I was absolutely shocked by the data. The answer is 1.2 hours per day per seller on external meetings. Even the lower bound, I see Sarah's reaction. My reaction was my blood was boiling when I saw this, and my blood was particularly boiling because I saw that same data for rattle sellers and CSMs as well. And I was thinking, why are we hiring more headcount if the current headcount has time in their day? 1.2 hours is 15% spent on external meetings. That's nothing. Again, taken as an average. And these are ramped sellers, and this is data not from the week before Christmas. This is data from last 6 months. And yeah, I don't know about you, but that makes me angry. Um, but let's talk about come back to quotas again. So then time is not the issue. Why quotas haven't moved? Like people obviously have time. Now, to see another cut of this data, I plotted all 50 accounts on this graph here. So you can see how each account on average was spending time. Two things you will see. One, there are only three customers that spend more than 2 hours per day on external meetings. Go ahead.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
Yeah,
Do you know anything about those three? It seems like it's a big enough, is it different industry or what's different about them?
it's it's three different industries, three separate customer sizes. Yeah, there's nothing common across those three companies.
Interesting. Okay.
The second thing that we will see is nobody crosses 2.5 hours. It's not like there were some accounts that are spending 3.5. It's just that they're far and far between. There is nobody over 2.5 hours. And third thing that you will notice is that there are 10 accounts or customers where the average time spent on their calendar on external meetings is either one or less than one. It- these are quota carrying reps. And it wasn't that the answer was different if I looked at different segments. Enterprise was 1.23 hours, SMB was slightly below, and then mid-market is also not left behind. So it's not, there is a huge difference in these various segments. This is all very close to each other. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking that our data is a lot better than what data that we pulled. I thought the same thing, which is no way that we will be close to 1.2 hours, and we were even as Rattle. Um, so here's a small challenge. I would actually want you to pull this data for your own teams. So you can go into Google Calendar, filter it to all your sellers, and then export that data, and then put into Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, and it will help you do the analysis. And if you see that your sellers are spending more than 3 hours on average in external meetings per day, then I have two warrior tickets courtside for next weekend that I would love to give to you. I know Sarah is thinking.
Really?
Sarah, for the record, Sarah was against this idea. But yeah, like please do run this analysis and reach out before the end of day this Friday, so 11:59 p.m. PST. But if your data says that your people are spending more than 3 hours and you have more than a dozen sellers, then I would love to learn from you, give you these tickets, but also understand what you are doing better. So we can call you as a panelist on the next one, and you can talk to everyone on how you optimized or what led to the optimization of time spent on external meetings. So why, if it's not a time issue, then why are we not increasing sales quotas? And the reason is that every seller has a number. That number is the amount of deals that they can run in parallel before they start dropping balls, before things start slipping through the cracks. And by intuition, we all know that that number is usually 10 enterprise deals, 20 mid-market deals, and then 50 high velocity or SMB deals. And it also checks out because on enterprise, on an average, there are 10 stakeholders on every deal. So that will become 100 stakeholders. And on SMB side, you have two stakeholders on average now, which will end up being 60 to 80 stakeholders that someone should have to manage in a particular quarter. And that makes sense. So I absolutely understand why it's hard to have all this context in our heads. And that's why sellers typically try not to have more than the deals that they're running. And one thing I would want to talk about very quickly is that I know it's very hard to hit your quota. And like as a founder, I was the initial salesperson at Artel and now at One. And I know that as difficult it is to sell software, one thing that we never talk about is how difficult it is to buy software. We don't talk enough about buyer empathy. I was buying a couple of pieces of software in the last 12 months where it's very anxious. Like this is mostly DevOps people, and you have bought a shit ton of software. So you know it's not easy finding the right vendors, making sure you're making the right bet, then going through the sales process, convincing internal stakeholders, getting the budget approved, and buying the software. So when I was buying the software in the last 12 months, you know what I saw? I saw 90% sales cycles were really bad. I remember a case where I asked a seller from a company that everyone here either uses or would have heard of, where I asked him, "Hey, how do you differentiate against your biggest competitor?" And you know what the guy said? He said, "We're essentially the same platform. It's just personal preference." Um, so we bought the other software vendor, which did give us a good differentiation. I was buying this financial planning tool, and the seller moved the call thrice on me. The last two times, she didn't even like let me know that she's moving the call. She just changed the time on the calendar through a dart, and moved the call. After third time, I was so agitated that I had to ping the CEO on LinkedIn and let him know. If anyone wants to see what I ping the CEO, please ping me on LinkedIn. I'll send you the screenshot. Obviously, after removing the name of the seller. And then my co-founder, she was buying a piece of software for one of those credit card companies, the really big ones. And the seller never sent any next steps and all the material that he promised. And then obviously the deal just vanished. So, yes, there are bad sellers, and some of them might be bad, but there are absolutely sellers who miss context because they are running too many deals, or even if they are not, it's just hard to keep all this context in your head. And you know what? That is the thing that AI will impact. And that is the thing that AI is already impacting in other industries. I'm going to share four examples right now, but AI has already, for the first time, increased capacities in industries that have never seen capacity increase before. The first is Cursor. I hope everyone here knows Cursor. So Cursor is an IDE that engineers use to write code and build software. It is one of the darlings of the AI era where they have grown so quickly. that almost every engineer on the planet either uses Cursor or plans to use it or at least knows about it. So I'm pretty sure your engineering teams would be using Cursor as well, or that will be on the roadmap. If it is not, please do let them know. But Cursor, for the first time, engineering productivity hadn't meaningfully changed in the last 15, 20 years. And now every engineer is able to write 3x more or be 3x more efficient with their time because of Cursor. My own engineering team actually used to use Cursor and now they have all moved to Cloud Code, which is crazy in its own because how quickly are people moving from one system to another is also the pace of change is crazy. But my product managers use Cursor now to build prototypes. So we have seen this with engineering, which is an industry that was stagnant from a productivity standpoint, and AI has changed that. Second is Harvey. If you're not familiar, Harvey is the AI native workspace for legal teams, whether these are law firms that you might have heard of, Goodwin, Cooley, or this is in-house legal teams from companies like HubSpot, DocuSign, etc. They use Harvey now. And Harvey lets lawyers handle 3x of the workload that they were able to handle previously. And I hope you all would have seen this as well because um, don't you, when you get an NDA or order form, give it into ChatGPT and ask it, hey, are there any outliers here? So, of course, like Harvey has increased lawyer productivity by 3x. Next is Sierra. This one is my favorite because Sierra was started by Brett Taylor for people who don't know. And Brett Taylor was the co-CEO of Salesforce. He was supposed to take over from Mark Benioff. And when AI came in, he saw the change of pace of innovation within Salesforce and outside of Salesforce, and he decided to leave Salesforce as CEO or as a potential successor to Mark Benioff, and then start Sierra, which handles support tickets autonomously. And Sierra for customer support teams has been able to just supercharge that department and handle 60% tickets autonomously. And then the same team is now able to either go deeper into tickets or handle just bigger volume without increasing headcount. And then the last example is open evidence for clinicians and doctors, where they're able to find source material faster and diagnose their patients quicker. So we have seen that AI has increased the capacity for these other functions. Um, and I think that is what ROI for AI in sales is going to be. The ROI for AI in sales will should not be win rate, deal size, or velocity. I think all those three metrics would definitely be impacted, no doubt about that. But the true ROI for AI in sales should be, can it allow me to increase my sales quotas? And again, time is not an issue. We saw that they're spending 1.2 hours on average in external meetings every day. Context is an issue. How much can they hold in their head and give buyers the experience that they deserve? And if we can increase the context that they can hold in an external brain that they can talk to and make sure that they have all the information that they need. I think that is what AI should do. And for the first time, it should improve sales quotas. So, how do you get started? How can you take advantage of AI? So, I think the first is it's definitely pulling your calendar data. You should know whether you are at 0.8 hours or you are at 2.4 hours or 2.5. Well, if you're over three, again, please do ping me on LinkedIn or email me and I will give you the warrior tickets. I would also say, by the way, like if you are not in San Francisco, you can just let us know the city that you're in and we'll find a game that particular weekend and we'll give you the courtside tickets. Believe me, I want to give away those tickets. But hey, if nobody reaches out and nobody has over 3 hours, then it's me and Sarah who will get to go. So that's so that's not a bad outcome as well. But yes, please pull your own calendar data. If you don't know how to pull this data, let us know. If you are already a Rattle customer or a One customer, like we can get this to you in minutes or in under an hour. Um, but let us know how we can help on pulling this data. Second is that you need to understand your own seller's number. What I mean by that is just see across your different segments how many deals are they currently managing. Is it four enterprise deals? Is it 12? So at least having that idea across different segments will be helpful. And then once you have a baseline for how many deals people are managing per segment, you should go to your top sellers and just ask them, hey, this is the number of deals that you manage today. How many do you think you can manage? Because if, let's say, our enterprise sellers are already at 12 deals on average, then I guess that they will say, I can't handle more than 12. But we all know that AEs are always hungry for more pipelines. So maybe they will give you an answer and say, hey, I can manage 16 or 17. Which is step three is when you're having this conversation and you ask your AE, hey, how many deals more can you manage? And the guy or girl says that, hey, I can manage 16 or 17, and right now they have 12. Ask them what would break? Where can we help you in manage 25% more pipeline? And because I've done this exercise, I know the answers will be something along the lines of, hey, make business case creation easy for me. I need to prep before the meetings. Can you automatically help me prep for before the meeting? I have a bunch of next steps like sending an invite, asking internal party, sending collateral. Can you help me do those next steps? They will ask you for automating Salesforce updates, as every seller hates updating Salesforce. It takes a lot of time. They will ask you for automated code creation, and they will ask you for creating a bunch of artifacts or material for them, which can be business cases, account plans, decks, ROI calculators, and these are the things that they will ask you because this will help them save a lot of time. And finally, they will ask you, hey, can I get answers quicker to my questions? Which case study should I send? What reference customer can I point them to? Which industry is more suited for this particular customer that you might be selling into? So these are the things that they will ask you. The next step is this is the hardest that you do need to convince your CEO or CRO. I don't think they need convincing, but I think you need to bring AI engineers to your go-to-market team. I have spoken to so many companies where they've already done that, and that includes Vercel, where this is famous case study or webinar right now, where Vercel reduced 10 SDR member org to one with automation that an engineer built in starting in a weekend, but wrapped up in a month. Um, Databricks has internal initiatives where they're putting AI engineers on GTM tooling. Samsara is doing the same. Twilio is doing the same. So if your company is not already doing it, I'm almost confident this is on the roadmap for your CRO and CEO. It's just that nobody has asked for it. But you do need to bring AI engineers. Now, I have seen many cases where solutions engineers have jumped in and now are doing go-to-market architecture. But I think you need someone who can actually code and build a lot of this stuff. Now, since most of you are RevOps, you are pretty familiar with tools like Zapier and you can definitely use them. But if you want to get more advanced, you can use something like an N8N or Lindy. But I would say that to bring actual solutions, you do need to have AI engineers. Now, with Vaughn, whatever you will build yourself, to increase sales quotas. That is what we have built with Vaughn. Vaughn is built as an intelligence layer over an entire revenue tech stack. So people can come and ask questions, any question that they have, and Vaughn will answer as an analyst. It can create artifacts for them based on your own templates. Um, and it can also help you run, build forecasting models, account scoring models, churn risk models. That is what we have built. I do think that most companies should uh, have something like that. Now, whether you hire own AI engineers or bring them into go-to-market or use something like Bond, by the way, which costed us $3.5 million to build in R&D, and we are projected to spend 5 million more this year in R&D on building one. I think you will have to spend at least 1/10 of that if you were to do in-house only for your specific use cases. Um, but yes, you do need to bring AI engineers to go to market. And then five is you run a pilot. You run a pilot with your top 20% AEs, give them 25% more pipeline, increase their quota by 25%, but please also pay them 25% more. Nothing kills morale faster is if you increase someone's quota by 25%, and you also have to give them 25% more pipeline. But if you don't increase their com by 25%, then it's not worth it. So I think these are the 5 steps that you need to run through. Now, what happens next? This is January 2020th. You all just went through financial planning for the whole year. You would have created your headcount hiring targets already, and either you have already opened those roles or you're about to open the roles. I see so frequently that if you, let's say, have to add 30 more million or 25 more million in new ARR this year, uh, and you have 15 sellers, uh, I'm pretty sure that you would add 10 more AEs so that you can hit the new ARR target that has been set. Because we always have this thing in our mind that there'll be a $1 million quota that will assign to people, 70% efficiency, 80% efficiency, and then some ramp time. So you'll be hiring people. What I want to implore you today is please do not open that additional headcount or not to its full extent before you start increasing quotas. Um, my prediction for this year is that by the end of this year, we'll start seeing $2 million as average quotas in frontier companies. With Vaughn, our quotas will be 2 million per seller. And you know what? For those 2 million, I will pay 400K OTE to every seller. And hopefully, I will be able to attract the best talent in the market because for them, 200K will be the base, not 200K OTE. So if they hit even 1 million, they will make 300K, which is still 50% more than what market would have paid them today. But I know that with something like Vaughn that we have built, they can hit a $2 million quota because again, time is not a constraint. So as you're going through financial planning and as you're adding more headcount, do increase quotas for your people, give them more money, make an incentive for them. Either build something internally or buy something like Vaughn, which can be the external context that lets them run 2 to 3x more deals. Uh, and I think you won't have to hire that headcount. You will see that your best sellers who are already ramped will step up and can maintain the same win rate, deal size, and deal velocity and can get you there. So that's what I want to talk about. If you don't agree with anything what I've just said, please find me on LinkedIn, tag me on a public post, and let's have a conversation. Or you can always just reach out in a DM to me. I would love to hear from you. And if you want to see what one is and how one works and what are some of the cool things that we are building, where we are spending 3.5 million last year and 5 million this year. Um, please take a demo. In resources, you will see you can take a demo of one. And I will personally love to walk you through of what the future of AI in sales is going to look like. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Sahil. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I do have a couple of questions that came through. I
Yeah.
know several people had to leave at right at the 30-minute mark, but we did have this scheduled for another 5 minutes. So some of you are still here. I'm going to go ahead and ask at least one question here before we wrap up.
Yeah.
So, Sahil, there was a an interesting question when you were talking about what the first things are that your sellers are probably going to ask you to build.
Mhm.
To take everybody back, it was when Sahil was suggesting, I forget if it was step 2 or 3, and the next step was ask your sellers what would break and what they would need if you gave them a 25% higher quota than what they have today. And the question was, the list of things that you shared of what they will ask for, the question is many of those things already exist in the market. So why do we need to do that again? All those things already exist. Thought it was an interesting question.
I think the era of point solutions is dead. When you can go into Replit and Lovable and build prototypes yourself, I think half of SaaS industry will find it very hard, including players like Rattle, where it will become so much easier to build software. So the bar for what someone is selling has to go up. If you are bringing on a vendor, one vendor that helps you answer questions on a call transcripts, another to help you fill RFP, another to build an account scoring model, and another to record your calls, another to build forecasting, and then Tableau to build a dashboard. I think that's why sellers are confused.
Mm,
Like, if do I go into a separate software for battle cards, but then into a separate software for my own internal training, and then into Gong for call recording, and then into Clary for forecasting, and then into Tableau? It's Yeah, like I have been a seller myself, and that's why you see sellers just use those 3 or 4 pieces of material that they latch themselves onto in the first few weeks of their onboarding, and then never give up. Uh, no, it's the era of point solutions is over. I'm not the first person to say this, but I believe that we'll see these mega platforms emerge. So the cost of R&D has to go dramatically up for vendors to be alive in this space.
okay, thank you. I'm going to tag onto that question with a CTA for our audience, but then also a follow-up question that I have based on that. One, please, everybody who's here, please go learn about Vaughn. I can tell you, I am wowed by it. I know I'm inside the company, I get that, but it's so cool. And if you don't understand exactly what Sahil is saying, just go learn about it, go try it. I think we do have free trials going on still. Sahil, hopefully we do. Please do. Like, I think you'll understand more about what Sahil means when he is saying that like point solutions can't be the way forward. But I want to tag on to the question that was asked. Thank you, whoever asked it. I hope you're still here to have heard the answer. But my follow-up question is, okay, so Sahil, what if our audience here is going to follow your plan, step 1, 2, 3, 4, and they are going to try to build something out. They are going to go to market engineers to build something out. What is the first thing that you would recommend that they do start? What do you think is going to be the biggest help to start with?
An internal sales GPT.
Okay.
So, a GPT that is connected to all your data, so call transcripts, emails, Salesforce, uh, your enablement material, your product knowledge information. I know some of us have built custom GPTs inside of Glean or inside of Chat GPT, but imagine just expanding that aperture. What that helps is I was very surprised to see with Vaughn the number of questions that even sellers have on a day-to-day basis. And they're asking a system to say, hey, what could I have done better? What could I have done better with this deal? Where is risk in my pipeline? Which account should I go after? And I think we are all in this era of ChatGPT. We are more than 3 years in, so it's not a new thing anymore. And we should give them a version of Sales GPT internally. And that's what most enterprise companies have started building in-house. And I know many mid-market companies are also thinking of building it in-house. So yes, if you do decide to hire or bring on an AI engineer in your go-to-market org, that's the first thing that you should build.
Okay. Thank you. I think with that, we are out of time, so I'm going to wrap us up here. Sahil, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I really have been looking forward to hearing how you were bringing all of this together, and I'm excited I finally get to have heard your whole point of view. Audience today, I hope you enjoyed it as well. I would love to hear feedback from you. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Let me know what you think. If you disagree with Sahil, go to him. Go
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
And I hope that well, I don't know if I do. I hope that I get to go to the Warriors game with you, or do I hope that somebody here does? I'm not sure. But since we're doing that, like, please do the work to find out where your sellers are in that amount of time they spend on external meetings, and let us know what you find. Thank you for being here today, everybody. Have a wonderful
Thank
day.
you.
Bye.
Bye.